funny. I get like sweaty palms sometimes when I get nervous, and I'm getting sweaty palms right now recording this video. Like what is it about recording videos that makes one so like nervous? I don't know what it is. I've done it hundreds of times and I still feel that imposter syndrome angst thing going on. Forgive me, because what I'm about to present is very genuine. It's really a heartfelt library, and a library for me that evokes many memories of the sessions. Recording the Epic Taikos is the second or third most difficult recording session I've ever had. We spent 5 days recording the taikos in all their magical forms, like full ensemble every day in a church. And when we get to production, we realize we can't use the samples because of the dynamic range of the taikos. Taikos are super difficult to record. They have a very unique dynamic range, meaning that when you hit them super hard, they're so loud that the gain on a microphone can't pick it up. So for that reason, when you sample taikos, and this is hard lessons learned after spending 5 days not doing this, you actually have to adjust the gain of the microphone for every velocity you do, which is a sort of unique way of sampling and much more complicated from an engineering point of view, but it's actually the only way you can record taikos. So what happens when we put a bunch of them inside of a church and together in an ensemble? What happens when we bring in all these different sizes of taiko instruments, from the big odaikos to more medium-sized taikos, all the way up to shimes, which are the snare drums in the taiko family, sticks, yells, everything you can possibly imagine from a taiko ensemble. Let's just get into it. So in the new Taiko 2 update, we have 3 main directories now. We got mains, which are all the sort of main ensembles. You'll see down here that everything now is neatly laid out in version 2.0 in terms of key labels. Here we can see what's on the different octaves. So, oh, there's my sticks, there's my small taikos, and so forth. We have another folder here with different kind of inspiring rhythms. And then we have our sound labs where we're experimenting with the taikos. But let's just take it all the way from the top here with the main closed one. That would be the full taiko ensemble with closed microphones. We can see down here the labels are laid out. We can just groove. Like, isn't it magical? We don't have to play bass notes for taikos to make them sound awesome, like this one up here. Kind of sticks clapping. And then together with the shime. And combined. And then we add a little more action down here in the sort of mid-range. So those are larger sticks. They're a little bit fatter sounding. So we have different kind of sticks as well, different colors for sticks. And then, you know, when we got something like this here, it's so easy to throw in the basses too. I still remember the sweet smell of fermented grapes every time we were hitting the medium-sized taikos. These taikos were made from old red wine barrels. So every time you hit it, you would get that smell of fermented grapes up. So it felt pretty much like if you live in anywhere where they make wine, it just smells like wine in certain types of the season. Also cool to do rolls. Essentially just roll with your fingers, like. So when you sequence them in the DAW, if you want a taiko roll, you just roll with your fingers. Next. Aren't they just delicious? This is what I mean with wet taikos. Forgive me, I always ramble about this number, but this is Soundpaint. We have 127 dynamic velocity layers. It just makes it so much more alive and gratifying playing it. I just have so many layers to express myself through. Here are the taikos recorded with far microphones. We have close and far microphones in the church here. We wanted mostly to get that near field sound, that sort of wet thing we've been listening to. But we also have far mics if you really want to get more of that sort of surround sound as well. To me, this is as pretty as a piano. We're just in the family of taiko drums, a big ass percussion, but this is as good as it gets. You know, it doesn't matter what some fancy hall is called, it's really about what we record in it. You'll never know the name of this church here we recorded in because it's not relevant, it's just a beautiful space. I love these are sort of very soft rim shots on the taikos. Very sort of fat, clacky wooden sound. But with the shimes, there's a lot of stuff going on here in the mod wheel. I can shape the sound from more soft to more sharp. And it's super cool because I can do this sort of call and response thing even with the same ensemble here. It's quite common in taiko playing. You'll see that when you see the ensembles that there's a lot of call and response, particularly between the different sort of drum groups. So dung dung dung, da da da, da da da, da da da. So in this program, we have 3 different parts loaded, 3 different ensembles, but set to different octave values, 1 below, 1 in the middle, and 1 above as well. Really super fat sound. 1 close microphone and 2 far microphones at the same time. I don't have to do the talking. Yeah, that's some real ass percussion right there. So this is fine. I don't know about you, but often when I come back to my arpeggiations from the past, I'm always a little bit like, oh, I think I've learned something. This one for me, when I load it here, is a little on the sort of static side. So this is one of those things while going and polish the programs over time as we do updates here. Let me just try to revise this one a little bit and show you what it would sound like with my ears today. We also got some shouting in the library. This was something I didn't know about taikos until we really worked with the ensemble, but we talked a little bit about this sort of call and response thing. Well, they like to call each other out sometimes also when they do these sort of syncopation between the different ensembles. They're super cool to use in syncopation with the rhythms. I encourage you to listen to the different demos. We also have another video with the taiko drums where I'm going more into that and build the whole composition with this library in the DAW. But the shouts are super useful. to be used as rhythmic accentuation tools, but also to be used in this sort of call and response manner. And then a little bit further up on the keyboard here, we have these sort of longer kind of sforzando shouts, if you will. We also have another group of them here. There's two different banks. We also got these sort of swelling, taiko-ish, kind of very masculine sounding wah. Beautiful. I can play fast with my taikos. Sometimes they can be a little bit sort of, because of their largeness, difficult to play in the sample world. We don't have to deal with that issue here. They're just really polished to perfection. This is a specific bank where we went in and made them slightly more massive and contemporary sounding and contemporary behaving as well. And with contemporary and massive, I just means that it's very hybrid, if you will. The fact I can play them so fast. It can be funny to play taikos in non-traditional taiko styles. For example, this is more of a sort of a dull kind of groove. There's more swing in it. We're more in Eastern Asia. And here's the main mega ensemble. I wonder what kind of music we're gonna make with that. Down here, it's just like God of Thunder. Let me just try to play this with as many notes I can. Imagine like the largest ensemble we've ever tried. All right, I'll start gracefully just up here. And let me just put it, I'm just gonna add like 512 voices. It's like, this is gonna be beefy. That was already 400 voices right there. Okay, we'll see if we break the computer here. Let's go like 700 on it. And that's how you crash an engine. Here's the Shime ensemble. The Shime, such a gorgeous instrument because it's a tonal snare, which I just love. We're in the rhythm section now. Aren't they just so pretty? We'll notice up here that we got one note stretch activated here on A2, meaning that we're isolating down to just one key and the samples associated to that key, but we're spreading them back out on the keyboard. So that specific sound is now fully playable. So beautiful. This is a medium-sized taiko. Troubled. Almost like congas. All right, going into sound labs with our Brazilian. So sweet. It almost has a little bit of a sort of a Brazilian berimbau kind of quality to it. I mean, talking about call and response. Here's a soft Shime with reverb on it. And notice the amount of clarity or roundness depending on where I'm moving the mod wheel here. It gets more piercing when I move the mod wheel up. Everything gets a little more clear. And a part of that is coming from the matrix where I'm modulating the EQ5 gain band here. That essentially just means that I'm highlighting certain frequencies on the mod wheel. If you ever want to do that, just right click on anything inside of Soundpaint here. Let's just say I want to take this band here and associate it to my mod wheel. Just right click and choose Add MIDI CC Automation. And all of a sudden, you can now move whatever controller you want on your keyboard to control that given frequency. So let's say this guy up here, I want to associate this to this controller here. I now have that. So we can do that sort of combined here. Okay, so theoretically, if we have a delay that's that long and everything just keeps going into each other, getting sort of resampled, if we did enough shouts and just kept doing this on a feedback and a delay, wouldn't we just either get like a massive crowd sound or an ocean? Let me try to time stretch that and see what happens. Okay, now it's time to cook. This is an interesting effect. So we took these shouts here, but we're time stretching a scream here. So we're not affecting pitch, but we're just stretching it out here. Like this bass down here. All right, let me just kill a couple of parts here just to isolate to part 2 here, so we really have full control over this one alone. It's so powerful with this sort of a time stretch to yell, if you will. This is just a library near and dear to me, and I'm so glad we finally got it repackaged in the way it should be, with neat keyboard labels, everything organized in subdirectories, so you can just access these beautiful, timeless taikos, if you will. It's not always that I would dare to use the term sample gold about our own instruments. These are timeless samples that will live in one's template forever. But with this library here, it fulfills that for me. It is true sample gold. It's been with me for many years and it will continue to be with me. I just really got that sound I always wanted. A really lush, wide, sort of cinematic taikos, but with that sort of specific wetness to it. And everything we can do inside of Soundpaint now in terms of modulation, all that stuff, can bring forth so much more than just the original source material. So I hope this video has given a little bit of an insight into that. So thanks for watching, and most importantly, thank you for sponsoring Soundpaint. Without you guys, we couldn't create this multiverse of instruments. Thank you.